everybody, it's Heather with Senior Service Industry Nights of Florida, and hey, we're getting closer. 2 weeks away from our first ever South Sarasota Venice Industry Night. I was actually just over at Daiquiri Deck in Venice, downtown Venice, which we're going to be holding our event there, 4:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday, July 24th. And I got to tell you, I couldn't do this without my fabulous sponsors, and I'm sitting with one right now. This is John Ferrari, and he is with Ferrari, Butler Moneymaker Elder Law. Thanks for inviting me in.
Thanks for having us. We're a very excited sponsor.
Cool location, this place.
It is a very cool location. It's one of the oldest homes on the island.
Well, do you know the date built?
1925.
Wow. Guys, I got to tell you, if you came in here, the vibe is so super cool.
All original. Everything is as you see, the floors, the walls, everything.
Wow.
Pretty neat.
This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited to have you, Sierra, and Liz as a part of this. You guys have been supporting every industry night so far that I've done, and again, we couldn't do it without you. So
it's our honor. We love to be involved. We love to be out and about, and that's what we do. So our firm, we specialize in the area of elder law, which people hear elder law and they wonder, well, I'm not an elder yet. But in our book, basically an elder is anybody over the age of 18, because once you turn 18, you are a adult. And so really any of the issues that could affect you when you are in your 70s, it could also affect you once you're age, 18. And so really it can be anybody.
And when you say that, you mean that due to the fact that things can befall anybody of any age, and then you're going to need to have your ducks in a row, basically, right?
That's correct,
right.
Because if you think about it, as you turn age 18, your parents were your natural guardians, and that ends at age 18. So
right.
Then you're on your own. And so if you were to have a car accident or a stroke or any type of any type of an injury where you couldn't act for yourself, it's important that you have everything in order, which means that you have things like a durable power of attorney or a healthcare surrogate appointment. You have those in place because once you turn 18, there isn't anybody else who's going to be able to naturally act for you.
And that's a good point that I wanted to bring up. So for somebody who's not in this industry or not really familiar with elder law, okay, what does happen in the state of Florida if you don't have your ducks in a row, so to speak, and something happens to you? Well,
it's an interesting thing because people, I think, have this assumption that, well, because I'm someone's friend or I'm a sibling, I'm going to be able to act automatically, and that isn't the case, right? So with respect to healthcare decisions, you do have an option there. Florida has what's called a healthcare proxy statute, and I don't have to get into the weeds, but so you do have, and there is a hierarchy that says that if you have a guardian or if you have a spouse or a parent, they are going to be able to act, in a healthcare setting.
Okay.
But if you have any bank accounts or anything else, they are not going to be able to just automatically act on those assets, and that's why you have to have those documents already done, right?
Yeah.
Because as we say, you either have to actually plan or react, and so hopefully that you've actually planned it.
And nobody wants to be in the position of reaction.
You don't,
right?
because that's when you're under a lot of stress, and
right.
you say, what do I want to do? And they say, well, you don't have it in place, and then it's actually, then it becomes too late for us, unfortunately.
Well, and I got to tell you, I have a little experience with this because I was in skilled nursing. That was one of my first jobs in the admissions department.
Yep.
And you would be surprised how many people in their 70s, 80s, and above would come in and they had nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
No living will, no documentation like that whatsoever.
Yeah, it is amazing to me. Even the people that you would expect they would have that in place, they don't have it in place. So it is absolutely everywhere.
So is there one specific type of law or situation that you see that you do more of than others, or is it kind of a hodgepodge or a...
Yeah, I would say here in this area, obviously we probably skew a lot more with our seniors, and so I am dealing with a lot of those, and some are what we call are actually kind of in a crisis mode already, whereas one of the spouses is now in long-term care, and they're trying to figure out how can we afford this and what can we do, and if they want to become Medicaid eligible and all these types of things.
Yeah.
And so it really isn't a very transactional business anymore. It really is what we call, I mean, if you look at our business cards, we are attorneys and counselors of law, and you spend a lot of your time acting as a counselor. because you really have to understand what the family dynamics are. You have to understand, which of the children and or caregivers here actually have good intentions, and which of the ones that they don't have very good intentions.
Right.
And it's a horrible thing, but we have to be super skeptical of everybody that we ever actually come in contact with, because we just can't trust anybody just because they happen to be.
Well, and I saw that again in senior living, where you would have multiple siblings, and everybody's got a different idea of what they want to do.
Absolutely.
And I look at it as I'm an only child, so the good news is I'm the only decision maker. The bad news is I'm the only decision maker.
That is correct, right? That is
no one to
correct.
share the burden, right?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But no, that's really, is that we really do have to, I would say, actually become embedded, with these families. We have to understand who everybody is. We have to understand
the dynamics,
what the players are. We
right.
have to understand what the assets are. And so it isn't a, see a person for 10 minutes, write a prescription, and then you're on to the next one. It doesn't work that way. Our practice, the average appointment is going to go for 1 to 2 hours, because we need to ask a lot of questions. We need to understand what's happening. I think though the thing that I think is good about our area, though, is we do have so many resources here that are basically aimed. And so if you have to be, a senior, which we're all going to be one day, and if you have to do it anywhere, this is the place you want to do it, because there's so many resources.
Right.
And it's just a matter of finding them.
Well, you just brought up a good point then. So, referrals.
Mm-hmm.
What constitutes a good referral for you? And if somebody were to call you, let's say a skilled nursing facility, and you go and see a client there, is there a charge for that? Is there, how does that all work?
So our basically system is referral for us. It could be anybody. I mean, we can have our first conversation could be with a child. And so what we always have to do first is we have to figure out who's our client in this case. Because if it's going to be the child, then I can't also represent the actual parent. So we need to understand who is it going to be. And that's oftentimes, as you can imagine, that's a little bit hard, because I can't just take a phone call from somebody and have them say, oh, I just saw Dad and he's okay with this, he's perfectly fine. I'm like, well, I can't just do what you told me. I need to come see Dad. Right.
Right.
And so, but then once then I can see Dad, then I can understand, okay, he's going to be our client if he has the ability to, but if he doesn't have the capacity to engage me as an attorney, well, then he can't be my client, right? So we have to figure out that. And then a referral can be really anything from either somebody who is actually really with it, but they're realizing that they're becoming a little forgetful. And they say, hey, look, I want to be able to, have everything organized right now. And that is awesome, because this is someone that actually recognizes it and says, I want to make sure things are in order. Or we have one, where it's a neighbor, or we have someone that will call us and say, hey, I don't want to be nosy, but I think that one of our neighbor's children is exploiting her, or something like that. And so when we get something like that, then we have to do a little almost detective work, because I don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if it's just an allegation. So then we have to try to figure out a way to make contact with this individual and figure that out. And oftentimes, we work with the local sheriff's office, we work with DCF a lot, we work with anybody who has their eyes looking for elder exploitation, right? Because that's happening a lot, which is sad. And sadly, it is as common with a family member as it is with a stranger.
And it seems very prevalent in Florida. I think people sometimes often move down here because there's so many seniors to choose from to do such a thing.
I agree, and it's a sad thing. But I mean, again, when we hear that a child has just relocated to live with their parent, we're skeptical of that, which is a horrible thing. Right?
It is.
You wouldn't think that would be a horrible thing, but we're always up. We always want to know, why did you come here, right? Yeah. And are your siblings aware that you're now living here with your mom, and she's paying all your bills now? Is everybody else in the family aware of this, or is that not a little strange to you? Because it is to me. But that's the things that we have to do.
And it's sad how many times that scenario comes into play.
It is, and it's also sad when we know that there's exploitation going on, but that parent is just so excited that they have their child now home again.
Right.
And that's what happens. And you can't obviously call it exploitation unless you have an actual victim is that willing to say I'm being exploited, and
Right.
oftentimes that isn't the case.
Well, I'm so glad to have you a part of this and be able to do this video for folks. And if you're watching this and you plan on coming on July 24th, please come up and introduce yourself to John. He is somebody you want to keep in your back pocket as a referral source. Obviously, he is extremely knowledgeable, and he's a local guy, so you need to utilize your folks. One of the things I do to end these all the time is I feel like people do business with people they like, know, and trust. And it's not just business relationships, but getting to know somebody on a personal level.
Correct.
So kind of wanted to know if you could give us any info about you that makes you unique, maybe something we wouldn't think about you, like hobbies or experiences you've ever had.
Well, I guess I'm a little different, and this is my encore career, as I call it. So I was in the corporate world for 22 years, and I retired to Florida, and then I decided that I wasn't ready to retire.
Not
so
done
I wanted
yet.
to go back. Yeah, and I always had the urge to practice law, and I had older parents, so I'd been around, I would say, older people a lot, and so I had that, I guess, affinity. And so elder law was the only area of law I ever interested in, and Stetson is where I went to school, which is right up the road.
Fantastic. All right.
And it has the top elder law in the United States of all schools, and so I said this is just meant to be. So that's, I guess, unique. So I as being an attorney, but I also have an MBA that I've had for 25 years, and so I have that corporate background.
So we're going to end on that note, but once again, I want to remind you, we are 2 weeks away, so please come and join us on Wednesday, July 24th, Daiquiri Deck, right in downtown Venice, 4:30 to 6:30. The first 50 drinks are going to be free. That's any of the daiquiris that they offer. They're going to have non-alcoholic beverages, beer, wine, the whole thing. Free appetizers, and that's all thanks to great sponsors like Ferrari, Moneymaker, and Butler Law. And we'll be seeing you guys again soon. Thank you. Bye.